All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It's safe to say that the Chicago Bears are in the catbird seat. And the reason why I'm going to say it is this. Last year, the Bears finished with the worst record in the NFL, but instead of using the first overall pick in the draft, they instead opted to trade that pick to the Carolina Panthers, who wanted to select quarterback Bryce Young. Now, part of that deal would see Carolina's first round pick for this year go to Chicago. And being that Carolina just clinched the worst record in the NFL for this season, guess what? Chicago owns the pick. Now, this is going to mark the second consecutive year in which the Bears have the first overall pick. And they have some very interesting questions to ask and answer in their front office. And I think, first and foremost, the biggest question has to be, is Justin Fields your starting quarterback? Because if not, you look at all of the quarterbacks that are going to be available early on in this draft, you're definitely going to have an opportunity to select somebody. I mean, if the season finished right now, the Bears would pick first and 10th in the upcoming NFL draft. And I know that there are some people who are going to say that the Bears should move on from Justin Fields. There are going to be some people who say that the Bears shouldn't. But I'll tell you like this, as of late, since Justin Fields came back from the injury, he has been playing some good football. He's been able to develop a chemistry with wide receiver DJ Moore, and of course, DJ Moore was a part of that trade with Carolina to for them to get the pick. So you see that there is some potential there. But there's other questions that have to be asked and answered for this Bears organization. Is Matt Eberflus the head coach of this team in 2024? He's 10-23 so far in the National Football League. He only won 3 games last year as the head coach of the Bears. And after another slow start, the Chicago team has turned things around. Remember, the Bears began this season 2-7, and since then they're 5-2. And the 2 games that they lost, you can make a very compelling case that they had an opportunity to win each. They blew that lead late on the road against the Detroit Lions, and then, of course, losing on the Hail Mary against the Cleveland Browns a couple of weeks ago. You flip those games around, we're talking about a Bears team that is 9-7, and they are right there in the thick of things for the wild card part of the postseason on the NFC side. So I'm looking at it like this. Obviously, if you're general manager Ryan Poles, you got some questions that have to be answered sooner rather than later. In my opinion, though, I think that the Bears should keep Justin Fields. And the reason why is this: Justin Fields now has 3 years under his belt as the Bears starting quarterback, but we don't know what Justin Fields could truly be just due to the fact that the Bears, especially for his first 2 years, really did not put a team around Justin Fields. And they still have a lot of issues on that side of the ball. You've got to work on the offensive line. You look at Justin Fields in his nearly 3 years in the NFL, he's been sacked 130 times, which included leading the league in sacks with 55 last year. Justin Fields was the Bears' leading rusher last year. He had over 1,000 yards. And honestly, this season, in spite of the fact that Fields has missed about 3 or 4 games, he's still the Bears' leading rusher. That's not a good sign. And he's the leading rusher with just over 600 yards. Chicago has to fix their running game. They have to work on their offensive line. You look at this scenario, clearly you have something at wide receiver in DJ Moore. You also have a solid tight end in Cole Komet, but I can't harp on this enough. It comes down to that offensive line being able to protect Fields. But I'll tell you like this, and this is why I'm saying that the Bears are in the catbird seat, because if you're Chicago, and just for the sake of argument, if you're deciding to say, hey, you know what, we're going to stick with Justin Fields, we're going to try to build around him, you have a golden opportunity now. Why? Because if you're not going to take a quarterback with that first pick and you're going to say, hey, we're open for business, and you could trade back with that pick due to the talent that's out there at the quarterback position this year. A lot of people are high on Caleb Williams, a lot of people are high on Drake May, and others. Guess what? You're going to have teams, more than likely, multiple teams that are willing to move up to that first overall pick to get their hands on a quarterback a la Caleb Williams. With that said, clearly you're going to get somebody's first round pick this year. And then you're more than likely going to get a first round pick in next year's draft as well. This gives you the opportunity to continue to stockpile picks and use them as assets as you're trying to build up this team. Because, for the sake of argument, let's just say that the Bears do decide, let's move on from Justin Fields, let's take a Caleb Williams, let's take a Drake May. That guy is going to come in there and he's not going to fix all of the Bears' issues because it's still going to be the same team around him that was around Justin Fields for the last couple of years for the most part. You still got to go out there and you got to fix that offensive line. I don't care how talented of a quarterback prospect that you have out there. He's not going to be able to do his job if he's running for his life. So I'm looking at it. Don't get me wrong. There are things that Justin Fields has to improve in his game. And I think over the last couple of weeks, he has shown some improvement as far as getting that football out. We've seen his ability for the deep ball. Justin Fields has a strong arm. He is a good athlete out there. And I just think his strengths can be magnified if the Chicago Bears are fully committed to him and they do a better job of putting a team around Justin Fields. So I'm looking at it like this. You got 1-10 right now if you're the Bears. We don't know what that second pick is going to be because obviously there's one more week in the season, but it's still going to be pretty high. You can go out there and you can get yourself a definitely an offensive lineman. You can continue to work on your defense. You can also maybe add another wide receiver. There's a lot of other options out there, and the Bears could also get multiple mid-round picks this year as well because there's always talent in the later rounds, especially the middle rounds, if you know what you're doing. But at the end of the day, draft picks are only draft picks. They're only good if an organization knows what they're doing with them. And I think that onus falls onto the Chicago Bears because they've got to find a way to get the ship righted. They have improved in recent weeks. This team has shown a lot of life. They have shown a lot of fight. They have shown a lot of character. And I think if the Bears want to commit to that, you know what, they've got something going forward. But nonetheless, in my opinion, I do believe that the Bears should stick with Justin Fields. I think that they have an opportunity if they continue to build around him and utilize these draft picks to do so. You're looking at a guy in Justin Fields this year, his highest career completion percentage this season. He's at 61% so far. Not the best in the world. I'm not going to sit up there and sugarcoat it, but nonetheless, again, as of late, both he and this team are playing better. So it's one of those where it's a slippery slope because if the Bears move on from Eberflus, more than likely they'd be ready to move on from Justin Fields. So a lot of questions have to be answered if you're the Chicago Bears. But nonetheless, this is a golden opportunity for Chicago to do some things with all of these early picks in the draft. Like I said, they could take that number one overall pick and flip it around and do even bigger and better things with it. We got to wait and see. But nonetheless, one way or the other, Chicago has a golden opportunity in front of them. What they're going to do with it, we simply just have to sit back, wait, and see. So, folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365 that you can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.